Hey everybody, welcome to the Age of Chaos and our first Dungeons and Dragons video where I'll be walking you through character creation. I'm going to keep it simple this time around, just going to make a human fighter, which is pretty much the simplest character to make or play. So yeah, walking you through where to put some numbers and information on your character sheet and how to use that. Alright, so here you go. This character sheet, it's a fillable PDF that I've downloaded. You can find some character sheets online, print them off, um, get them out of a player's handbook. Your dungeon master probably has a few extras, but whatever you print off will look pretty much like this, and you can fill in the appropriate spots. So as I said, class and level, making a fighter, and he's going to be level 1. And race, he is human. Character name, if you can't guess, Tempo. There it is. And that's how he will be known by other player characters and other people in the world of whatever game I would play this character in. So player name, that's going to be you. In our case, the Age of Chaos for our player name. And the rest we'll kind of come back to in a bit. Let's start with being human. So in your player's handbook, this is a PDF of the 5th edition player's handbook. I do also own the actual physical book, but you have pages for each race. Here's our human. And it gives you just kind of the layout, how the humans interact with other races in the world, their role in history a little bit maybe, and then some possible names for humans based on what region of the world they're from. But the traits, this is what you need for character building. Right now, you need speed. It says your speed is 30 feet. So we go to the character sheet, speed 30 feet. This just dictates how far you can move during your turn in combat. During normal role play and exploration, you're not limited to 30 feet of movement, but during combat, that's how far you can move. Also in human is your languages. These are the languages that you'll be able to speak during the game. It says you can read and write common and 1 extra language. So we come down here to the bottom of this page, proficiencies in languages, common. And the second language, that's your choice. It could be related to your character's background, if they grew up around a different race and learned the language, or if you know you're doing a campaign, say that has a lot of orcs, you might want to speak Orcish, or if there's going to be giants around, you may want to know the giant language. I'm just going to say Tempo also knows Elvish, because reasons. I don't know. He has an Elvish best friend. Why not? All right, backgrounds. Come back up here. In the player's handbook, in I think it's chapter 4 or 6, can't remember exactly, there are some backgrounds from which to choose. Now, all the background does, it doesn't tell you what you have to do with your character. There are suggested backgrounds for certain classes, and in this case, the fighter suggests using the soldier background because it makes sense. So we're going to do that. And this just kind of gives you something to build on if your character was a soldier or they grew up on the streets or if they're from a noble family. These just kind of give you some ideas of what to do with that. So I'll come up here to background, soldier, and alignment. I might break this down in a later video, but for right now, no, there's 9 different alignments. And for a soldier, we're going to go with lawful neutral. I go with lawful neutral. I'm just going to say that means he follows the law to the best of his ability, and he also obeys orders. I mean, as a soldier, he's going to do what a superior officer tells him to do, or get court-martialed or whatever happens in the Dungeons and Dragons army. So that takes care of this up here. Obviously, at level 1, you have 0 experience points. Go you. All right, the big thing that you need to do before anything else is figure out your ability scores. These things determine what you're good at. Strength, rather obvious how strong you are. Dexterity is how dexterous you are, for lack of a better word, how you're able to handle finesse things. Constitution is going to be related to your health, how many hits you can take before you go down. Intelligence, how smart you are. Wisdom, how perceptive you are of the world around you and other people. And charisma, how well you interact with other people. So a popular method of determining these numbers is the point buy system, which has a finite number of points you can spend to increase those numbers. Other people roll dice for it, which is what I've done for tempo. You roll 4 6-sided dice and take the 3 highest, and that is 1 ability score. And you do that for all 6 ability scores, and it gives you numbers. For tempo, I've got 15 for strength. We'll give him the next highest, say 14 in constitution. As a soldier, as a fighter, strength is going to determine how much damage our weapons can do. Constitution will determine how much health we have and how many hits we're able to take. My other numbers, it kind of goes down the line. It fell into a normal point assessment. Let's give him a 13 in wisdom. Say he's been fairly noticeable of his surroundings. He kind of knows what's going on around him at all times. So not bad in wisdom. Intelligence, 10. Why not? He kind of follows orders. He's not the stereotypical like dumb soldier per se, and no offense to any soldiers out there, but he's not just a brute. Soldiers in D&D world. Charisma. What have we done here? 13, 10. Cool. Charisma, I'm going to give him a 12. He is rather adept at interacting with those around him. He's young. Girls find him attractive. He's good at charisma. And dexterity, that was my low number. We're going to call that a 9. Just, he was more trained in using swords and shields and just brute strengthening everything, not so much on the finer handling of weapons. So these are ability scores. And this little bubble here is for your ability score modifier, which we'll get to in a second. But first, as a human, actually as any race, you get ability score increases naturally. Just kind of helps to dictate what you're good at just based on your race. Humans get each ability score increased by 1. So, which that means whatever these numbers are that we rolled with our dice, we now get to increase them all by 1. Most races get an increase to 1 ability score by 2 points, and then a second ability score by 1 point. Humans here, +1 to everything. Boom. Now, you're like, what good does a +1 do? Well, here's where that comes in. These ability score modifiers, there are certain pluses that apply to certain numbers. 16 is a +3, 10 is a +0. These numbers are at the front in the first chapter of the player's handbook, or you can literally go Google ability score modifiers help, and it'll tell you what they all mean. So you'll notice you say, what good does a +1 to all of my scores do? Well, strength was at a 15, which would have been a +2, and that +1 gave it a 16, which is now a 3, so that makes our attacks better. So +1 is quite useful. So now we come over to this big long list of blanks. Saving throws. These are going to be your ability to avoid or withstand certain effects. Dexterity saving throw might mean, hey, something just is flying at you. Make a dexterity save to see if you're able to dodge it. But these key off of your ability score modifiers. So you come down here, +3, +0. Intelligence, and then +2 and +1. +2 and +1. Yay, go us. And then your skills. These kind of say what you're good at and how good you are. And again, these pluses are going to key off of these ability score modifiers. Strength is a +3. Athletics is the only thing that is keyed off of strength. All of our dexterity scores here are going to be a 0. So you'll notice these little 3-letter abbreviations over here tell you which ability score these skills key off of. All right, Constitution. None of the skills are Constitution based. Let's grab Intelligence at a +0 to all of these. Quick second, be right back with you. All right, +0. Wisdom. Wisdom is a +2, so he is rather adept at noticing what is around him, being able to pick up on social cues from people. And then charisma +1. So these are all the skills that are used to deal with people directly. You'll notice deception, intimidation. I can break these skills down in a later video. There you go. All of our ability scores. Now, what are these bubbles for? Yoif. Proficiency. Time to dig into our fighter skills. So on each chart of a class, you'll see this proficiency bonus here, which increases as you level up. At level 1, it is a +2. So it comes proficiency bonus +2. And then you scroll down, you see that a fighter is proficient in strength and constitution saving throws. So you come over here, bubble in strength and constitution, and now you get to add this proficiency bonus to those numbers. So from a +3 to a 5, and from a +2 to a +4. Skills. We are also proficient in a few skills. Now, every background, in our case, soldier, has 2 skills in which they're automatically proficient. For a soldier, it's athletics and intimidation, which makes sense if you think about it, because athletics, soldiers are trained rather well to be good at strength things and physical feats. And then intimidation, I mean, they're wearing heavy armor and carrying around weapons. That's rather intimidating. So once again, we get to add this +2 to these. There you go. Now, as a fighter, you get to choose 2 other skills from acrobatics, animal handling, history, insight, perception, and survival, since we already have athletics and intimidation as a soldier. These skills, it's kind of flavor based on what you want your character to be better at. I'm going to say, again, that since Tempo has been around for a while, he's probably survived a few things. He's very perceptive of what's going on around him. I'm going to choose perception and survival. And then I'll add the proficiency bonus to those, making that a +4 and also a +4. There we go. We have our skills and saving throws. Let's just run down this middle column. Initiative, that is off of your dexterity, which for us is a nice big 0. That is just a number you can add to your roll at the beginning of combat to determine who goes in order during a fight. Hit point maximum. As a fighter, our hit points, boom, at level 1 are 10 plus your constitution modifier, which for us is a 2, making our hit point maximum 12. And our current hit points, obviously, because we've taken no damage, are also 12. Your total hit dice, this little box right here, you have 1d10, a 10-sided dice per fighter level. So at level 1, we have 1d10, which we can use during short rests to regain some health. All right, weapons, attacks, and spellcasting, equipment, all the good stuff. Wahaha. So you look on your fighter page, you see equipment. Start with armor, chainmail, or leather, a longbow, and 20 arrows. This kind of determines your fighting style. If you're going to be up close and personal with things, chainmail is good, keeps you from getting hit. If you're going to be further away, leather helps you to hide, and a longbow and your arrows is going to be far off. So tempo, we're going to choose chainmail. So we'll come down to equipment, chainmail. Now, how do we determine how good that chainmail is? How is it going to keep us from getting hit? You go into the equipment section of your player's handbook to this chart with armor. Find chainmail, and it gives us a 16 armor class. So you go up here to armor class, 16. What that means is that an attacker will have to roll at least a 16 on their attack roll in order to even hit you. Otherwise, their attack misses, which is good for you. All right, attacks. We go back to our fighter page. It says we can have either a martial weapon and a shield or 2 martial weapons. So it's essentially, do you want a weapon and a shield? Helps you can kind of protect yourself and others, or two martial weapons if you just want to run in there, weapons flying everywhere. Tempo is going to take a weapon and a shield. So we go over here to choose our weapons from the equipment to martial melee weapons. Boom. And we're going to keep it simple again. We're going to take this long sword. So we go over here, type in long sword. Attack bonus. So your attack bonus is your proficiency plus your ability modifier for the weapon. For longsword, strength is your ability modifier. So total, that's going to be a +5, which means when you attack with your longsword, you roll your d20 and add 5 to see if you hit your enemy. Damage for your longsword, come over here and it tells us that it is 1d8 slashing, which means that if we hit, we get to roll an 8-sided die and determine how much damage we do. And if you've noticed, this says versatile 1d10. That simply means if you declare you're attacking with holding your sword in 2 hands, you're going to be putting more power behind it with the possibility of doing more damage. And you can roll a d10 if you're attacking 2-handed on that long sword. Now, we also gained a shield with our equipment. I'm just going to put that right here below and note to myself that the shield gives me a +2 bonus to my AC. Now, since I intend to be fighting 95% of the time with a sword in one hand and a shield in the other, I'm going to go ahead and up this AC to an 18, which is really good at level 1 because, again, your opponent is rolling a 20-sided die and they need an 18 or higher in order to hit you. So a lot of low-level enemies, even with attack bonuses, aren't going to make that. So you should have a good bit of survivability. So let's come back to our fighter and see what the rest of our equipment holds. Either a light crossbow and 20 bolts or 2 hand axes. Again, that's a playstyle preference. I'm going to go with a light crossbow. I'm just going to say L crossbow. This thing doesn't always like text too far out. L crossbow. There we go. Now, difference here, I still get the proficiency bonus because I'm proficient with a crossbow, but ranged weapons are keyed off of dexterity, so that's not going to get anything from there. So my attack bonus is only a +2. So I'm less likely to have a successful attack with the crossbow, but if I find myself at a range that I'm not being able to swing my sword, it's useful to have the option. So we come back here, find the light crossbow right here, and it says our damage is 1d8 piercing. 1d8. And it was piercing, and we said our sword was slashing. Now, if you'll notice also here, it says the range on a light crossbow is 80 over 320. What that means is if your target is within 80 feet of you, it's a normal attack. If they're anywhere between 80 feet and 320 feet, you have disadvantage on the attack, which means roll twice and take the lower number. So you're even less likely to hit because it's kind of outside of your range. But let's pop back here. And then we get a Dungeoneers or Explorers pack. I'm not going to go into that. We're going to take the Explorers pack. It's kind of a basic equipment. Explorers pack. It's just everything you'll need on your journey. Okay, a few other things. Fighting style. As I said, I'm going to have a shield. These things, if you're going to be at archery, that helps. Defense, it gives you another plus bonus to your AC, so we could have a 19 AC, which, that'd be nice up there in the fight. Protection, if you're using a shield, is good. 2-weapon fighting. Let's take defense. So while you're wearing armor, you get a +1 bonus to AC. So that's kind of a feat. So over here in features and traits, I'm going to say defense means +1 AC when wearing armor. So that's just a reminder to myself. That is why my current AC is actually 19, which, man, I'm going to be hard to hit. All right, so that's a fighter thing. You scroll down. Also at level 1, we have this ability called Second Wind, which means it says on your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. And then you have to finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. So I'm going to come back over here to features. Second Wind is bonus action heal 1d10 plus my level once per day, or once per rest. So that reminds me I can heal myself as a bonus action once per rest for a minimum of from somewhere between 2 and 10 hit points, and that'll increase obviously as I grow in my level. So the next thing we get at level 2, so we don't have to worry about that right now. And that's kind of close to being it. Let's go back to the soldier background for a moment, see what kind of equipment it gives us. We have an insignia of rank, a trophy, a set of bone dice or cards, and then 10 gold. So we're going to come back up here. 10 gold right there. Now, proficiencies as a soldier, most backgrounds get some other proficiencies as well. It says one type of gaming set and land vehicles, which means you can add your proficiency bonus to checks for those things. I'm going to say we're proficient in cards and that we have a deck of cards. It comes with the equipment. So that would still be proficiencies over here. If I can type playing cards, and in my equipment I have a deck of cards. And then the soldier background, so we're also proficient in land vehicles, which would be, you know, carts and buggies, any other type of vehicle on land. And yeah. So there you go. That's your basic character creation. What to do with these numbers in here for your attack bonuses. Oh, I almost forgot a part of the damage. Whew. So your damage is 1d8. That's the longsword plus your strength modifier. In this case, it's a 3. And this would be plus your dexterity modifier, but it's a 0, so that doesn't work. So there you go. 1d8 plus 3. Still slashing damage. Over here, this is for your personal building of a character, personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but do know that your background page has suggested characteristics. You can choose one of these or roll a dice if you're having trouble picking out some character traits of your own. So there you go. We have our Tempo human fighter level 1 as a soldier and his character sheet and what to do with that. And you can play straight up with that basic character sheet. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you figure out how to create a character for your next game, and look for more D&D videos to go more in depth on other topics.